Station.
8:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here's the news edited by J. Yogaraj and read by Ramesh Piris. The headlines. The online safety bill passed in Parliament. Minister Tiran Allah says the proposed act will prevent many wrongdoings over internet, including fraud, child abuse, sexual abuse on women, defaming Buddhism and other religious faiths. Parliamentarian Mahinananda Alutgamagi says each individual should take the full responsibility for his or her postings in social media. The UNDP signs an MOU to promote Sri Lanka's innovation and responsible business practices. The Speaker endorses certificate on 4 bills. Education Minister says national school exams will return to usual schedules by 2025. The Durutupoya Day falls tomorrow. In news overseas, vehicles stranded on expressway in central Japan due to heavy snow. In sports, Marsh to captain T20 internationals against West Indies. Now the local news in detail. Sri Lanka's online safety bill, which seeks to regulate online content, was passed in Parliament with amendments today, amidst objections from opposition politicians and activists who allege the new law will muzzle free speech. Accordingly, the Speaker of Parliament, Mahinda Yapa Abewardana, informed the House that the online safety bill was passed in the committee stage with amendments. The online safety bill proposes jail terms for content that a 5-member commission considers illegal and makes social media platforms such as Google, Facebook and X, formerly known as Twitter, liable for those posted on their platforms. The government says the bill is aimed at battling cybercrimes including child abuse, data theft and online fraud. The second reading of the online safety bill was also passed in Parliament this evening with a majority of 46 votes. A total of 108 MPs had voted in favour, while 62 had voted against the bill. The division was followed by a committee-stage debate, during which a heated situation ensued as opposition MPs objected to certain amendments brought by the ruling party, accusing them of being unconstitutional and in violation of the Supreme Court determination. The Secretarial Oversight Committee on Media, Youth, Heritage and New Citizens had recently approved the online safety bill, subject to the amendments determined by the Supreme Court. Minister Tiran Allah, in his conclusion speech today, said the proposed act will prevent many wrongdoings over internet, including fraud, child abuse, sexual abuse on women, defaming Buddhism and other religious faiths. The minister also said this act will also stop all types of abuses, even to the wives and children of opposition members in the Parliament. Joining the debate, parliamentarian Partli Champaka Ranawaka emphasized the importance of streamlining the media and social media. The United Nations Development Programme in Sri Lanka and the UN Global Compact Network Sri Lanka has recently renewed their commitment through the signing of the 3rd Memorandum of Understanding in a move towards advancing sustainable development. The agreement aims to join efforts in facilitating private sector participation and promoting sustainable development in Sri Lanka, the UNDP said in a statement. As the first non-private sector entity to secure a position on the network, Sri Lanka Board, UNDP has nurtured a robust partnership through years of collaboration with the network Sri Lanka. This aligns with UNDP's commitment to enhancing development activities to foster public dialogue, improve awareness among the business community on the Sustainable Development Goals, and enable their engagement to accelerate progress in the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, it added. The Durutupoya Day falls tomorrow. Durutupoya depicts Lord Buddha's first visit to Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation has made arrangements to bring wide range of religious programs to mark this day. The Sinhala National Service of the SLBC will bring live proceedings from Kalaniya Rajamaha Vihara from 6:25 a.m. onwards. A special all-night Pirit chanting will take place at 9:30 p.m. tomorrow at Sinhala National Service. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Continuing with more local news. The Speaker of Parliament, Mahinda Yapa Abeyewardene, announced to the House today that he endorsed the certificate on 4 bills. Accordingly, the Power of Attorney Amendment Bill, Prevention of Frauds Amendment Bill, the Mediation Board Amendment Bill and the Office for National Unity and Reconciliation Bill, which were passed in Parliament recently, have been certified by the Speaker. Thus, the said bills will come into effect as the Office for National Unity and Reconciliation Act No. 1 of 2024, the Mediation Board Amendment Act No. 2 of 2024, Powers of Attorney Amendment Act No. 3 of 2024, and Prevention of Frauds Amendment Act No. 4 of 2024. Measures are underway to ensure that all national exams are held as per their usual schedules by 2025, Minister of Education Susil Premjayantha stated. Speaking in Parliament this morning, the Minister further stated that the necessary arrangements for the paper marking sessions of the ongoing GCE Advanced Level Examination due to end on the 1st of February are also underway. Meanwhile, commenting on the allowances granted to teachers and university lecturers for paper marking, Premjayantha revealed that as per a cabinet memorandum submitted by him, measures are afoot to provide the same allowances as those granted for last year's paper marking. Following tissue culture research conducted by the Plant Virus Indexing Centre, Homagama, 2 new varieties of pomegranate named Mali Pink and Lanka Red were introduced for cultivation in Sri Lanka today, the Agriculture Ministry said. The 2 new varieties of pomegranate were handed over to farmers for cultivation by Agriculture Minister Mahinda Amaravira today. The special feature of these 2 latest varieties is that the lifespan of a pomegranate tree is over 30 years and 20 to 25 kilograms of pomegranates can be harvested from each tree per year. A total of 400 trees can be planted per acre, which can generate an annual income of 8 million rupees per acre, the minister said. And that concludes local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
In the main news, the government is considering issuing a taxpayer identification number, or the TIN, with the assistance of the Department for Registration of Persons using the National Identity Card numbers, State Minister of Finance Ranjit Simbalapitiya said. The minister said this decision was taken at a meeting to provide the public with the TIN very easily, while the normal procedure to obtain the TIN is still in progress. He told reporters in Ruanwelda that the TIN will be issued using the database of the 15 million of the 18-year-olds in the country. The minister said a complete database on state revenue could be created after the introduction of the digital identity card in the future. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
This is Watchlight.
In Watchlight, the National Dengue Control Unit says that 3 dengue deaths were reported in the past 20 days of this year. According to the unit officials' reports, the number of dengue cases reported daily has increased to 347. The total number of dengue patients identified so far this year is 7,299. The highest number of patients are reported from the Western Province. The number stands at 2,401. The National Dengue Control Unit requests the public to be vigilant over the issues and take maximum effort to clean and keep the office and residential premises free of mosquitoes. And that was Watchlight.
Coming up, World News.
Moving on to the bulletin of World News, first the headlines. Vehicles stranded on expressway in central Japan due to heavy snow. Plane carrying Ukraine's prisoners of war crashes. Thai opposition politicians remains lawmaker after ruling. Now the world news in detail. Heavy snow in central Japan has left vehicles stranded over a 5-kilometer stretch in both directions in the Maishin Expressway. The Central Nippon Expressway Company says the traffic jam occurred around the Sakigahara interchange in Gifu Prefecture. The firm says cars were stuck over a stretch of 5.5 kilometers on the lanes heading towards Tokyo and over 6.6 kilometers in the other direction as of 5 p.m. on Wednesday. Russian state-run media are reporting that a plane of the country's military crashed on Wednesday in the western Russian region of Belgorod, near the Ukrainian border. The TASS news agency quoted Russia's defense ministry as saying the Ilyushin-76 transport plane was carrying 65 Ukrainian prisoners of war, 6 crew and 3 guards when it crashed. The Constitutional Court in Thailand has ruled in favor of a popular opposition politician, rejecting a complaint that would have disqualified him as a lawmaker. The court handed down the decision today to the former prime ministerial candidate of the Progressive Move Forward party. It said that he hadn't violated the law over his alleged holding of shares in a media company. Back to the headlines of the world news. Vehicles stranded on expressway in central Japan due to heavy snow. Plane carrying Ukrainian prisoners of war crashes. And Thai opposition politician remains lawmaker after ruling. And that concludes world news.
Development News.
In development news, according to tissue culture research conducted by the Homagama Plant Virus Identification Center of the Department of Agriculture, 2 new varieties of pomegranates were introduced to pomegranate cultivation in Sri Lanka. The 2 latest pomegranate varieties are named Mali Pink and Lanka Red, and that was development news.
Moving on with sports news.
In sports, it's tennis. 2-time Australian Open finalist Daniil Medvedev used his great experience deep in a Grand Slam to beat Polish 9th seed Herbert Hurkacz for a place in this year's semi-final. Russian 3rd seed Medvedev won 7-6, 7-4, 2-6, 6-3, 5-7, 6-4 in the 9th major quarterfinal of his career. Hurkacz, in only his second quarterfinal, fought back to level, but Medvedev edged the decider to progress. Meanwhile, in cricket news, Mitchell Marsh is firming as Australia's likely captain for the T20 World Cup after being named to take the reins for a 3-match T20 International Series against West Indies. And that was sports news.
Go ekak tiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු ගීන හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
In business news, John Keel's Properties proudly unveiled the model apartment for its latest residential project, Winman. The presentation in this regard was held today at John Keel's Properties head office at 186 Vauxhall Street, Colombo, 2. The presentation showed a detailed viewing and explanation on how Winman is poised to transform living spaces in the heart of Jaila in line with the developer's vision of creating new worlds and curating spaces that redefine life's experiences. And that was Business News.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak tiyana youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු ගීන හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
In economic news, Sri Lanka should modernize agro sector to reap more economic benefits for both farmers and lower prices for consumers, said State Minister of Technology Kanaka Herath at the launch of Govilab, Agritech Accelerator launched jointly by Sarvodaya, a leading grassroots organization in collaboration with Hatchworks. And that was economic news.
Weather report.
And finally, moving on to the weather report, the Met Department says mainly fair weather will prevail over the island. There is a possibility of ground frost at some places in the Nuwara Eliya district during the early hours of the morning. Misty conditions can be expected at some places in the Sabaragamuwa and central provinces and in the Galle and Matara districts during the morning. This weather report was published this evening at 7:30 p.m. Further details could be obtained by visiting the official website of the department. And that was the weather report. And now to conclude this news broadcast, a recap of the main news headlines. The online safety bill passed in Parliament. Minister Tiran Allah says the proposed act will prevent many wrongdoings over internet, including fraud, child abuse, sexual abuse on women, defaming Buddhism and other religious faiths. Parliamentarian Mahindananda Anutgamage says each individual should take the full responsibility for his or her postings and social media. The UNDP signs MOU to promote Sri Lanka's innovation and responsible business practices. Speaker endorses certificate on 4 bills. The Education Minister says national school exams will return to usual schedules by 2025. The Durdu Poya Day falls tomorrow. In news overseas, vehicles stranded on expressway in central Japan due to heavy snow. And in sports, it's cricket march to captain T20 internationals against the West Indies. And with that, we conclude this news broadcast from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.